I heard, but I didn't hear it. I'm third party.
Yeah.
Jason told my son Joe. Joe told me.
Okay.
So it's, so that's kind of where we're at. That I don't have any firsthand knowledge of it, but when she was living down in Eau Claire, she never hold a job. She couldn't hold a job, and we were always pissed off because what more could we do for you? Mm-hmm. Joe, my son's girlfriend, runs the home place, which is the assisted living.
Okay.
She's had full-time jobs offered to her. She don't show up for work. Oh. My wife got her in up at the school as a teacher's aide. She don't show up for work. So the writing was on the wall. There's something else going on.
Yeah.
But because she's living in Eau Claire, well, then something happened where she had to move back with her mom down on 25th Avenue here within about the last month.
Okay.
So she moved back down there with her. And then something took place between Mom and her, where they finally had enough,
Said no more.
and Mom says, "You're out of here." We were trying to do, all of us are trying to do the tough love that it's time to.
Yeah. Say you gotta make the next step here or something.
Yeah.
So when's the last time you actually talked to her then, Terry?
Probably a week ago.
A week ago. How did she sing? How did she sing?
She's always tired, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really not. It just fit in now the last few days when all of a sudden I found out that she may be on acid and things like that.
Uh-huh.
And again, I don't know if that's the truth, but if that's the case,
Mm-hmm.
well then that kind of fit in as to why she's been in the situation she's at, where she don't care about doing anything, work or nothing.
Is she working anywhere then? Because you said no. Okay.
Well, and the worst part of it was, I know it's a long story, but
No.
the worst part of it is, then she gets parking tickets in Eau Claire on that car.
And you got the registration.
And I get, and it comes here, the letters. Deb gave her money, my wife gave her money about 2 weeks ago to pay that parking tickets off.
You can pay it?
She never paid it. She comes into town one night, and she's an artist by trade.
Okay.
Granddaughter.
Okay.
She went to, after graduating up here, she went to Marinette College for a year, but then at the end of the year, she never re-enrolled or whatever. And she's had some problems with, she has boyfriends, but then when all of a sudden something will happen and she'll break up with the boyfriend, she's with somebody else. And then all of a sudden she'll go back to the other boyfriend. What I was told by Joe, again, you got to get it from him, was that this Jason, which is the most current actual boyfriend it was,
Okay.
told him that he went down to get something from the store. When he came back from the store, Ezra's gone. And he found her at this Alex's house.
Okay.
And Alex was one that has been telling, according to Jason, Alex told them that he was going to kill himself if she didn't break up with Jason.
Okay.
So,
Well, yeah, we're just trying to figure it all out. Like I said, we're kind of in the middle of stuff that,
did you find her car?
we do have a vehicle.
Oh.
Is it
It's
a
like a Chevy Impala that's
Chevy.
got all the decorating on it.
Stuff on it, yeah, we did find that.
Her whole belongings are in that car.
Okay.
The only other thing that would be left would be whatever she left down at her mom's on 25th Avenue,
Okay.
and whatever small amount that we have that's over there. We do have, from about a month and a half, 2 months ago, or when she got kicked out, we do have some stuff in the basement here that belongs to her.
Okay.
And these are more than welcome
Okay.
to go through that.
All right. Yeah, that's all right.
What would that consist of? What type of stuff?
What's that?
What type of stuff does she have here?
It's just clothes and things like that.
Okay.
She never, computers or nothing like that, no.
Did she ever have her own phone? How'd you contact her?
Couldn't pay for anything, so she quit having a phone.
Okay. All right.
She had one of them iPhones, something must have happened. Everything's, she deleted her Facebook account the other day. in about a week, within this last week,
Okay.
so, I don't know.
Do you know what day that would have been?
Just within the last week or so, you think?
Yeah, it would have been within the last week or so.
When you say that,
Joe could tell you when, because Joe also gave her money to go down and pay the fine, last my son, at Eau Claire. That day, the fines got paid, when, I think it was that same day, he come home, because he told her, he said, you can't drive that car, even if your fines are paid, you can't drive that car. You have a valid driver's license, but you don't have insurance on it. So he told her, you have to keep that car parked until we can get insurance for you.
right,
She took off and went to Eau Claire. And that day that she went to Eau Claire was the last time we saw her.
So,
Last Thursday or something.
okay, just, and then when Chris has told me, so Joe is your son, is Joe her father then?
stepfather.
Stepfather?
No, it's a real father, it's adopted.
Okay.
It's not the biological father, but
Okay.
adopted. Joe and Rosie, Ezra's mom, Rosie, were married. And then right after they got married, Joe adopted her. She's
Okay.
been in our life since she was 3.5, 4 years old.
Okay. Okay.
So at about 3.5, 4, Joe
Oh,
married
great.
Rosie, adopted
Ezra.
Monica or Ezra.
Ezra.
Her real name was Monica at that time.
Right.
Oh,
And how long was Joe married to Rosie?
I'm thinking 6, 7 years.
okay.
So, and then split up. And then Joe actually had a son who just walked out with
The taller one of the two was his grandson, which is Joe's
Rosie.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then,
so- and they have I'll say, Joe and Rosie have a good parental relationship.
Relationship,
It's goes good. I mean, they have visitation, each of them, Monday, Tuesday,
Right.
one day, Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday the next day, and then every other weekend. I mean, it works out, it's
Yeah.
splendid, so.
so
I
then
mean-
Joe is now in a relationship with Amanda, who has a child of her own. So Joe is playing really dad 3 times, but only has one natural
Okay.
son.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you were saying that it was Thursday, was it just 2 days ago Thursday? Because today's Saturday, or was it a whole week ago Thursday? Because today's Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, when did she when was she found in Menominee?
Thursday. Or outside of Menominee, Thursday afternoon.
So I'm thinking either Wednesday or Thursday is when Jason, she took Joe's truck down to Eau Claire
Thursday.
and got Jason to pay for the fines.
Okay. On Thursday?
I'm thinking Wednesday or Thursday.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Jason could tell you that if you talk to Jason.
Okay.
He could, because Jason, they wouldn't take cash for the fines.
Okay.
So Jason went on the website to pay for it, and then he kept the money.
Okay.
So that could tell you the exact date. And
Do you think Jason was with her in Stanley?
Jason's been here only at holiday time.
Oh, because you said she took Joe's truck. I thought they were together, maybe.
She went down to
To
Eau Claire.
meet Joe, or Jason.
Okay.
And then you had mentioned that she did talk to you about maybe staying here.
She wanted to stay here, but I got cancer.
Okay.
I'm doing good.
Are you doing okay? Good.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Good.
I got cancer, but we said, with everything on our plate right now, we don't want to stretch it out any further. I don't need the stress, the
Right.
extra stuff,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
What day do you remember that was?
Chris.
Like a week ago?
Yeah, within the last week.
Okay.
And does anybody have the last phone number that she was using? Would Deb have it?
I don't think I ever got it. Oh. I don't think I even have it on my contact list.
Because nowadays what we're finding out, Terry, is people have phones, but there's no service. They only use them at Wi-Fi locations.
She was doing, I don't have it. She was doing the iPhone.
Right. When she got to Wi-Fi, she was able to use it.
Use there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But she was Ezra McCandless on Facebook.
Did she, just decided to change name, no rhyme or reason, or didn't like it, or?
Ezra McCandless, the real Ezra McCandless is an actor.
Oh, okay.
And he went from New York and lived up in the mountains or wherever it was, I don't know if you ever. And she said, I want to be just like him.
So that's how that took.
So she went ahead and went through the court proceedings, and I was pissed because I said, now you don't even have the Carlin name. But I said, well, you know, whatever. But she went there, she went to Marinette, and she's a hell of an artist. She's got paintings up in the school here on the walls. She's got the logo for the Marinette College. She painted that the first year that she was there. A hell of an artist, but she don't have any desire to do any work. You know?
Yeah,
Didn't have, but
okay.
Where did she last work that you knew of?
fabric place in Eau Claire.
Remember the name of it?
Is there? I wonder if it's Joanne Fabric.
There's Joanne Fabrics.
And she was working as Christmas help. And then once Christmas got done, then she was working only weekends. And then all of a sudden, she's not going there on weekends. Within the last couple of weeks, she's been helping out part-time. She's been working part-time up at the school here.
Yeah,
That's a teacher's aide, where she'd go out at recess and things
Yeah.
like that to help. And then she had everything set up by her dad's girlfriend. She was gonna start working full-time, $400 or better a week, working at the home place. She never went in and had the testing done, and never, you know, all she had to do was go in and write a piece of
Yeah.
paper, and that was it. She just didn't show up for that.
so did she, when she was in Eau Claire, who she stayed with mostly at all?
Jason.
With Jason?
The only people I knew, the only one I ever knew she lived with in Eau Claire was that Jason.
Okay.
And I don't even know Jason's last name.
Yeah.
But Jason's been here, he was here for Christmas and stuff, he's been here. And he's about 10 years older than her,
Okay.
good 10 years, but it looks like he was trying to look out for her best interest.
Okay.
So you think that she and Jason were together either Wednesday or Thursday, paying for that ticket?
Yes, they were. Yes, they were, because after they got done paying the ticket and come back to Stanley to bring the truck back to Joe, they went over to Torpedo to have
So he was
dinner
over
together.
there.
Jason was with her.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's kind of where we're at. We just, we gotta take a look at a couple things. I don't know.
So one of the questions we wanted to ask is kind of her background, Ezra's background. What are some of her personality traits? Can you kind of take us through that? In your words, describe your thoughts of her.
The last 2-3 years has been difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when she was in school, she was friendly with everybody. She had lots of friends. The teachers loved her. She would involve herself with the school and things. And then all of a sudden, like I say, once she left and went to Marinette, then things started falling apart. And I'm not saying that Marinette caused it,
Yeah.
but whatever. She has an old boyfriend that might be able to help you out. His name is Hagen Martell. He's from the Chippewa area, but I think he lives in town here at the old carriage house by the church,
Okay.
Catholic church. Hagen Martell might be able to give you a little insight on him, because they lived together in Marinette.
Oh, okay.
You know, that might help you with
Yeah, a little bit.
gathering some info, but
Okay.
you want me to call Joe and tell me you better come home?
I missed a call from him, I must have on vibrate.
Okay.
If you wanna,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want, he can be here in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're.
Because I'll tell him this, I don't care what you're doing at your dart tournament. He's enjoying himself finally getting the weekend out after all this, but I think this is a little more important.
yeah, I
Yeah,
tried to
Joel.
call him a couple times and
Yeah,
then I
Joel,
see I
yeah.
missed a call from him.
Anything else, Jason?
Yeah, I'll ask a couple other questions, but I'll wait till he's done.
You got the coach, huh?
That's Joe's dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids, they don't answer a phone, you send them text and they shoot through that.
Yeah. Amanda? Is Joe there? I need to speak with him, it's an emergency. No, he's not. I'm sitting right next to Mr. Qualls.
Must be sheriff.
Oh, the other one? I think he needs to break away and come home. Yeah. Seriously. All right. Thanks. Bye. Must be talking to Jim. He's talking to Jim and they're gonna, he says, we'll be right there, so whatever it takes.
Where is that tournament?
Double D's.
Oh,
That's your old stomping ground.
I don't know why Jim did double D's. That's kind of
On the phone, he
surprising.
was on the phone with Jim, so maybe Jim's trying to reach him too. I don't know. The only other Jim I know is actually Don. Dad.
One of the questions that we wanted to
I
ask.
know what happened. Joe tried to call me and couldn't get a hold of me, so then they diverted him to Jim.
Okay.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
happened. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. One of the questions we wanted to ask as far as, did she act out in anger in the past? Any unexpected outbursts, mental illness, diagnosed with anything such as that you're aware of?
She was getting some kind of counseling in that at one time. I don't know what it was. Rosie would have to tell you that, or
Okay.
Joe. But as far as, she's never been one to me that just had these anger issues and things like that. But boy, no, I don't really. Not that I've seen,
Okay.
but you gotta also understand as a grandparent, you're overprotective at times of your grandkids, and like there'll be an argument going on between, like say Joe and Ezra would be having a discussion about you need to get your ass to work at that, and then Deb and I'll say, would you just lay off her, stuff like that, but things like that. But I've never.
Okay.
But it just seems like if did they find any? Have they found any evidence that she was using drugs?
Not that we're aware of.
Not that we're aware of,
Okay.
but not, at least right now.
Yeah, Jason's the only one that told Joe that.
Okay. I think we're gonna make a couple stops and so.
So you said that she had some stuff here, mostly clothing and stuff. Any like journals or anything like that would be here of hers that you're aware of?
There's nothing like that. This is just all household goods.
Okay.
I could go down, we can go down and look at it.
Yeah, we're interested in looking, any electronic devices.
Yeah, there's no
journals.
electronic, there's nothing here electronics
Okay.
that would belong, that she would have. I don't even think she had anything did she even have a laptop? I don't think she even had that. She didn't have a computer or anything.
Okay.
Is it just the iPod or the iPhone that you're aware of?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty.
Okay, well, can we take a peek at that?
You can certainly do it. I might have to wait till Debbie comes so she knows where the hell it's at.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. Come on
Give me a
down.
second. Yeah,
My insurance is paid up, so watch your stuff going down.
all right.
Yeah, so we were told that there'd be no an iPod on it, but never any iPhone or anything like that that we're aware of.
Oh, so she's using an iPod and Wi-Fi.
That was our understanding. She's
I think it's gonna
communicating.
be down there because there was a charging cord laying right by her bags, so
Okay.
I don't
At the other
know.
house.
Greg's down there, yeah. And I suspect that whoever's at the hospital is probably mom and stepdad.
Yeah. That's what we're assuming too. We were just told that by hospital staff, and our deputy that's there haven't made any contact with them or anything like that, but that's
Oh, 'cause
just
it's
what we were
down
told by
there.
the hospital. So, yeah, we're
Do
just,
you think you're gonna need them at the house for the one?
well,
Or you just wanna see if they're there?
Then 2 to 3 weeks before now, she was getting her stuff.
Miranda, let's go outside for a little bit.
He's trying to put together a timeline for him.
Jake, son.
Yeah, we got Grandpa one. We didn't think to ask you boys.
Oh,
Oh,
so about 2 weeks ago, Landon?
Yeah.
Okay, about 2 weeks. How did she use it?
She was texting a lot.
But was she hooked up on Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good, thanks, Landon.
Come on outside, we'll shoot some buckets.
He must be feeling better.
You want to take a seat?
What?
Yes.
What, did I introduce, I'm Rod, I don't know if I introduced myself. And this
I'm
is
Grandma
Jake.
Debbie.
Yeah.
and I'm Jason.
Yeah.
We both work for the Dunn County Sheriff's
Yeah.
Office.
We're working a case where we have some major things going on, and Ezra, I get to sit all the time, Deb, if you don't mind. I'll stand. Her name has come up in part of this investigation, and it's
Did you put the dogs out?
Get back to that.
You're a distraction.
Come on, pup.
Go, Peter. He won't leave me though, so I'll put him out. No, they'll be outside because Grandpa's out there. Peter won't leave me though, because you guys are here.
Okay.
He's so protective of me. I'm sorry,
well, that's all right.
but he was a distraction.
Kind of just, we get a call, we're still in the middle of an investigation. We get a call and some things going on in our county, and which involves Eau Claire County and Ezra and Alex. And after some investigation,
What's Alex's last name? Can you tell me?
Woodworth. Yes, Woodworth.
but it's got, I don't know how else to say it, we're working on a homicide. And we believe she's involved.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph,
So-
and all the saints of angels.
So we don't know,
No wonder you came here. It's like,
we don't know
okay,
all the facts yet, but, she's been talked to, and, there's some things that,
and if you talk to her,
I
if she goes like this, I'm so tired, and she'll do that fake yawn, she will not look you in the eye. I know she's lying.
okay,
So if she does that, she's been my baby.
yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta take this, Jason, you wanna?
So,
She's been my baby.
right, I'll just bring you up to speed a little bit because, how we got involved is Super County, and they had called, and we're trying to, when I was here, we're trying to figure out her actual address.
Oh.
That's why it was kind of confusing
I know you
because
were.
they're trying to follow up on getting some personal belongings. And when I was down at the house, they actually have gone through some legal ways of, a search warrant, and Terry kind of suspected that, and that's the way to do it. And I called Joe and Amanda, and they didn't answer, and then I talked to these guys. They said, you know what, we need to go talk to Terry and Deb, and I felt best because I was here. I didn't want to leave a piece of paper on Joe's table that says we're investigating a homicide.
But I
and
have to
nobody
tell
tell
you.
But hang on. So that's why I said let's go back up and talk to Devin and Terry, and then we can gain some information, and then we'll get going, and we'll go down and get what we need to get. So that's
I have
how
to
we're
tell
all
you,
involved.
though, after you left, or when you see me, I wasn't going to touch
No,
that stuff.
no one
I
said
really
that.
wasn't.
No one's
But I
suggesting
went to
that.
Boyd and I said, Joe, you gotta come home. I said, something's wrong that they came to our house. And I said, you were called in. Terry has been an officer for how long?
That's what you're saying?
I knew.
Well, and what led us here is the registration to the vehicle. And we thought maybe she was living here, and they needed to verify address.
It doesn't sound like she's been living, that was just done because of a vehicle thing, and,
Right, but she wanted to live here.
yeah.
But we just,
And,
I've got too many great kids coming in and out with Terry's help.
yeah.
And her mom said, if you don't go back to school, you
Yeah.
can't live with me.
Yeah.
But then they patched that up, and she went back and lived with her mom.
Oh, okay.
And then her behavior was so erratic.
Yeah.
So her mom, and she was leaving without telling and driving off in the middle of the night. And her mom said, hey, you're living under our roof.
These are the rules.
These are the rules. And she kept breaking them. So Rosie and Jim said, you know, with these two young kids in the house, you cannot do this.
Yeah.
And then she came here, and I said, no, you can't. I said, maybe go see what your dad says.
Yeah.
See if you could stay there. And on my tablet, though, shit, if you guys need this, on this thing,
Oh, okay.
she used this, but I cleared whatever it was, because I thought, well, what the hell, is she on my tablet again?
Mm-hmm.
And I seen she asked her friend, Sailor, Licklifer, remember Eric Licklifer? So they're friends. And she had mentioned on here to Sarah about, oh, I'm homeless. That was before she went to her dad's.
And you said Sarah?
Sailor Licklifer is a friend of hers.
Licklifer.
Yeah. She's a student in lacrosse.
Oh, okay.
You might have to spell that, because that's a long.
Oh, Licklifer? Oh,
You need the
L.
spelling?
Let me get the phone
Yeah, I guess
book
if
on
you,
it.
That would be if you happen to have.
I guess, but I don't know how close I am.
Yeah.
It's a long, it's worse than Kowalczyk.
L. And that's a friend of hers, and she's a student in lacrosse, so I know, I'm L-E-C-H, my tears.
Do you want Joe to come here?
Yes, I think, why don't we all be here, so we
We
can
can do
talk
that.
together?
Yep, that's okay.
L-E-C-H-L-E-I-T-N-E-R, Eric is her dad.
Okay.
And it's a home number, but they're not together anymore there.
Okay. How good of friends are they then, Deb?
Well, they've been pretty good friends, but then, you know, like Sailor's down in college.
So has she been, how has she been? Has she been, I mean, I don't know how often.
Ezra?
Yeah.
Oh, this was always her haven,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Yeah.
She came to a basketball game probably a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sitting down and I said, come and sit by Grandma. And that's the kind of relationship we had.
Yeah.
She crawled up on my lap and snuggled with me.
Mm-hmm. Had you noticed anything different, or just other than?
Oh, just that she was very evasive all the time after she went off to school, and
Okay.
and then when she came back, she would tell me only what I wanted to hear, or she would never confide in me anymore, you know, real, and then when I would ask her something, then she'd do that yawn, and I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, I've got so much stress. And she came here one day, this winter, and her face was so full of acne and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what? And she had the most beautiful, beautiful skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what's going on? She goes, oh, Grandma, I've got so much stress in my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to show you a picture of this girl.
Okay.
Come on, baby.
All right.
That was her,
Okay. How old was she there then, Deb?
probably 8 or 9.
8 or 9? Okay. Did she have?
And in my heart,
That's the way you look at that, exactly. That is absolutely the way you look at it. Were you aware that she have any, any mental health issues or anything that you?
Joe has always said that to me, because of family history.
Yeah.
But never to me.
Okay.
She did when she was a senior in high school. She went through this phase where she dressed like a boy, acted like a boy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when she changed her name to Ezra.
Okay.
She had a beautiful name. It was Monica.
Mm-hmm.
And she changed her name. Do you know that, did you ever see that movie about Ezra McCandless?
Well,
He went up to
I've
the,
heard of it.
he went up in the wilderness and lived on a bus,
Okay.
left his family and everything. And she said she identified with him. And we were like, what the hell are you talking about? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
And then this beautiful little blonde girl, I'll show you her, can I show you her senior picture?
Sure.
How she changed from this, Joe's here now. So, from that beautiful little blonde girl,
Does she?
this was what she did her senior year. She changed. Look at,
Oh. Do,
and she dressed like a boy, and you know she has nothing really, no clothes, no. Well, Joe is just good. Come on in, honey. Would you leave the dogs out?
Dogs?
Yeah, 'cause they're distracting.
Come here, you dumb bastard.
Where's Amanda?
Talking to her brother Jesse on the phone
Oh.
right now.
Okay.
Jeter, come on outside.
He won't go unless I take him out 'cause of the guys being here.
Yeah, because he's such a support dog. That dog acts like he's tough, but I'm going to
Come on,
tell you
Joe.
what.
Joe, Rod from Dunn.
I'm Joe.
This is Jason.
I'm Jason.
Jason, good night,
Call me as
Joe.
well.
Honey, come sit by
Guys,
Grandma.
listen up. I'm going to tell you something right here, right now. I've done everything with and for that child since I adopted her at 4.
I gotta go.
Honey,
ever
come
since-
sit down.
I don't want to sit, Mom. I love you, but I don't want to sit.
Okay.
I've done everything for her since I adopted her at 4. Her mom and I divorced at 12.
Okay.
And I've known since she was a little girl that there was something drastically wrong with her. And I've pushed and pushed and pushed. And I said she needs help. I said she needs a counselor.
Joe would always say
She
she's
needs-
bipolar.
I said she's bipolar and she's batshit
And
fucking
then
crazy.
I would get after him because I'd say,
And everybody would yell at me and say, "You're just the mean stepdad. You know what? You're too hard on her and you push too hard." And you know what? If she was actually your blood, you would see it through clear eyes. And I said, guys, listen to me. I've dealt with people like this. I've been working with dickheads at the prison for 18 years.
Yeah.
I know these things when I see them. I said, please just listen to me.
And then
And
he
everybody
told me
would
that.
yell at me.
and then I would get
I was just the
upset.
mean stepdad. And I've said all along, please, just let her come stay with me. Let's get her on some medication. Let's get her a job so she has some sense of responsibility and she can develop some sort of feeling like, hey, you know what, I'm doing okay. I can do this. And get her in a routine where she takes her medication and I can make sure she takes something if she actually would get on it.
Yeah.
And all along she says, I don't want to take medication, ever. She goes, I don't believe that you should do that. She goes, I think your body can heal itself. The only thing this child's ever taken in her entire life is antibiotics when she was ill with strep or something, or Tylenol and ibuprofen. That's all she'll ever take. She's like the total hippie child that wants to walk barefoot because Mother Earth is closer to her when she can feel it.
Okay.
Now, I've pushed for it for so long, and nobody would ever listen. And she dropped out of college, and I said, you know what, we need to be able, we got to get her help.
Yeah.
Now,
What did
she
you do?
months ago said that she was dating, Mom,
I'm not.
I can't tell my mom to shut up.
They're recording, Deb, so there's no.
I see that
We're
recording
not taking
stuff.
notes, so we always want one conversation at a time.
Just so we can remember what was said. That's
Months ago, she claimed that she was over at the Martells in Chippewa after Grandma Martell passed away.
That was last Christmas.
And her and her boyfriend Hagen got in a disagreement and an argument about how she was talking to Hagen's brother too much and this and that and the
Oh.
other.
This
So
is Rosie.
this is Rosie. This is
Hi.
Ezra's mom.
Okay, well, I should introduce. I'm Rod.
I'm Jason.
Amanda?
That's Joe's.
Okay.
And the first time that she claimed that there was an assault of some sort was when
Rosie, come here.
she claimed that her boyfriend's brother was supposed to drive her back this way,
Recording.
and she said on the way to here, where she was dropped off, that an assault took place. Now, the very next day following the supposed assault, she got in a vehicle with this same man that supposedly assaulted her, and he drove her back to Marinette. And everything inside of me was like, oh my God, this happened to my kid. And I was really upset first and foremost that it happened to her. But my question was, is why would she get in the car with that same person the very next day that she just said assaulted her? A couple months ago, she claimed that there was an assault that took place in
Joe,
was it about
stop,
2 months
please,
ago?
please stop for me. No,
I'm
no,
recording and they know. I need to be able to talk, so everybody here needs to just let me talk.
it's way beyond that.
I know that.
He already knows.
I know that.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So,
Either did I.
anyway, this other assault supposedly had taken place, and she spoke to people about it. She saw physicians about it. There were tests taken and things, I'm certain, correct?
I think so.
And now just recently she had went and started staying with her mother and her stepdad, Jimmy. And Rosie and Jimmy have done everything for this girl. Everything from counseling to letting her stay there after she quit college to anything you can imagine. Provide her with a car, help her with anything. And she was failing in her responsibilities there to contribute and help out and stuff in their home, and her irresponsibilities just got to the point where Rosie and Jimmy were having a really hard time with it, and essentially told her, you know, you need to find another place to try to lay your head for a while. And she just showed up at my house about a week ago, and she goes, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm okay. How are you, kid? She's like, all right. She goes, I'm just going to crash here tonight, okay? And I said, well, okay, of course. Not a problem. And I went to bed. I was tired. I had to get up in the morning for work, and I got up. I went to work, and when I come home the next day, I went upstairs, and my son's bedroom door was shut. Later in the evening, I'm like, oh, that's weird, the door's always open. She had left a cat. No, it was 2 days, guys, I'm sorry. It was 2 days after she had showed up. She had left the next morning and was gone for 2 days, and I had no idea where she was. She doesn't have a cell phone. You can't contact her. No way to touch base with her. So I went upstairs into my son's room, and I'm like, that's weird, his door's shut. Here she had locked her cat in my son's bedroom. She never told me that she was bringing a pet over or anything. This cat had pissed all over my son's bed, all over the bedroom, destroyed it, and she never bothered to feed the cat, water the cat, tell us that it was there, or anything of the sort. And she walked in the house that night, and I go, hey, I said, why didn't you tell me you were bringing a cat over? I said, you've been gone for 2 days. This cat's been locked in your room, no food, no water. It pissed all over everything and destroyed your brother's room. I said, Amanda just spent her entire evening down at the laundromat washing blankets and having to go to the store to buy new mattress covers and everything else. And she looked at me, she goes, oh, okay. Not I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not, oh, my bad. What can I do to make it? Nothing. It's just,
It wasn't
any-
emotion.
I've been trying to talk to her because she's in this tough spot, and Amanda lined up employment for her. She just went and got a TB injection so that her test could be read, and we were going to get her a job. And she had all kinds of hours lined up, and she was going to stay with us. We were going to work with her budget. I was going to keep her money like with us, and then as she needed, she could have it, so she just wouldn't blow it on dumb shit like a 20-year-old does. And try to help her get on her feet, get an apartment, and have that responsibility like a kid needs to have. And we sat and talked and talked and talked, and when I talked to her, it's like I was talking to a lead pipe. She was just so aloof, and she'd look at me, she'd be like, yep. I could have said, the sky's falling. She did, yep. she wasn't really listening to anything I said. She was so blank and cold and just, she's not there.
Did she have, did she have a boyfriend at this time, or?
Rosie would,
She was with a man named Jason,
Okay,
who she's been very close with. Jason's a very decent person, military guy.
yeah.
Um,
Your dad and
Over the
something like
past-
that, Okay,
6 months she was staying with him,
okay.
and they had recently fell upon some problems and things like that, and Jason told us that they were at that point in their relationship where he couldn't deal with the things going on anymore, because there had been some times where she had been unfaithful or claimed that these things had happened, and that was just not something that he could stomach in his relationship any longer.
When you said did she ever get counseling, or was she ever diagnosed with something, or was she?
Rosie would
Her
know.
mother would be really good at
She
answering that.
was just diagnosed with depression.
Okay, okay.
But Rosie made sure she was seeing the counselor when she was going through those hard times.
Yeah,
Wasn't, she was a senior in high school, right?
okay.
Yeah.
And it started way before then when she was a kid. She told me that when she was a little kid, she didn't want boys to look at her like she was appealing. She didn't want to look pretty. She didn't want anybody to pay attention to her like that, so she wanted to be a boy. She said she would wear smaller sports bras so it would push down her upper parts.
Yeah,
And she wanted to dress like a boy, and she wanted to shave her head because she didn't want any boy to look at her like she was pretty or appealing. And she didn't want to take that chance of a man ever hurting her. And she sat in my arms the other night and just cried. She laid on my chest and just cried and said those things to me the other night, and it hurt.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm your dad. I would have been there for you. Why didn't you tell me that these things felt that way? She goes, I didn't think I could. I thought you'd just think that I shouldn't feel that way. And it hurt.
You gotta let these guys talk now, Joe.
No, that's fine, you're fine.
He'll interrupt me anytime he's ready.
Yeah.
I've done this a million times.
Okay.
90% of communication is listening,
Yeah.
so you're doing fine.
You'd rather sit back
Terrible
and listen.
communicator then.
You're painting us a picture that needs to be painted.
Then let,
Her mom and stepdad have done wonders with her. I mean,
She
they've
really
done
has.
so much for these kids. Even though we don't, we're a divided household, we're divorced. Rosie and I can get on the phone and call each other about the kids anytime and talk and whatever else. There's been an open line.
Yeah.
It's not like,
and her stepdad is close to her too.
Okay.
Jimmy's a
Great
boss
guy.
When you had talked about that she had gone to some counseling in high school, do you recall where that was or which counselor she sees?
At,
I told him he can come in.
there's a place next to Red Robin, across the highway.
Oh, I know what you're talking, like, yeah, in that brick building right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. In that back cul-de-sac area.
It's kinda like
It's-
right across from Red Robin. You know, if you're driving here and Red Robin's on the right in the corner,
Yeah,
is it on
yeah,
that corner there?
yeah,
Straight on.
I assume this is in Eau Claire?
yes.
Okay.
Come on, Peter.
Okay.
He's protected me. Right on. Come on. You can go in the computer room if you'd rather.
What's real dad's
Oh.
natural dad?
Dave Hoyle,
What was the last name?
Hoyle,
Hoyle. What kind of relationship does she have with
Zero.
him? Zero? Okay.
Since when?
since
I adopted her at 4 or 5.
he was given the paper that she was his, at what, 6 months old she was?
Never been involved in.
Never,
Alright,
not
thanks.
once.
She's ours.
Just-
Was she ever on any medications, anything?
She didn't want to take any medication.
She just doesn't
Okay.
want to put things in her body like that. It's something she feels very strongly against taking medication.
Any drug use that you guys are aware of?
I have a text message on my phone from her recent boyfriend, Jason,
Okay.
where I asked him, Jason, she just seems very different and strange and gone. I said, please, Jason, just tell me the truth. Nobody's going to be mad at you. I just need to know the truth. And he said that he was very firm about not ever wanting any drugs in his apartment with him and Ezra's apartment, because he's a military man. He's concerned about his career. But he said that on the weekends when he would go to drill, that he has received messages from her where she stated that she was going over to play Dungeons and Dragons with their friends and do acid and mushrooms.
Okay.
Did you ever, when you said friends, were you aware of any of those friends' names?
She would always just say first names, and she was very quiet about all of it. She's a very, very to herself, very secretive. And anytime you'd ever ask her, oh, what's his last name? It was always, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
She kept everything pretty nipped.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
I tried to talk to her at the hospital the other day. I mean, I'm looking at her, and all these cuts on her body are such
Not much.
light scratches and superficial and stuff, and it just didn't feel to me like they looked like defensive wounds of any sort, and I was really concerned that she maybe did that to herself, because Jason has told me that on several occasions he's seen her cut herself when she was really depressed or upset about things. And all of these wounds, from everything that I've ever been involved in any investigation I've led or taken part in, those are all superficial wounds that are self-inflicted, because you just don't go as far with it when you're doing it to yourself. A defensive wound to a knife obviously would have been cut deeper into the tissue.
When did you go see her?
That was yesterday morning.
Yesterday at noon.
At 1 o'clock
We were
visit.
there at
Noon. Yeah.
Did she share anything with you as far as?
I asked her, I said, honey, what's going on? Just go ahead and talk. Say whatever you need to say. She goes, I'm just real tired. And any time that she's like backed into a corner or she's really uncomfortable about conversation, she'll wipe her eye and she'll fake yawn. And from the minute that I started talking to her, I asked her several things just to kind of break the ice, and everything was just, I'm so tired, or I already talked to people about things, Dad. I just don't want to talk about anything like that right now. And I'm like, okay. So we just started talking about her lunch. They brought her a lunch tray, and I just tried to kind of start the ball rolling with conversation. And she was kind of feeling like, well, I don't know how she was feeling per se, but it seemed like it was okay to talk about the things that had recently gone on, where I asked her, do you know where your car is? People are telling us they just aren't sure where your car is, and I'd kind of like to know. She goes, no, you know what? I have no idea. Everything's pretty dark. And I said, all right, well, I was just curious. I said, honey, can you tell me why you decided to drive? I said, I hid your keys inside of my house, and I made you promise me that you wouldn't drive anywhere because your registration on your car was suspended for your unpaid fines for parking and stuff. And she goes, yeah, I know, I had Alex's heating pad, and I just wanted to take it back to him because then I wouldn't have anything of his anymore, and I could just give it to him, and then I could just be free of having to deal with him at all. Because the reason why she wanted to break free of any contact with Alex, so I thought, was because a couple times throughout their relationship, Jason told me that Ezra was told by Alex that if she didn't break up with Jason to be with him, that he would kill himself. And that's why Jason was so concerned when he saw Ezra's car over at Alex's house. And that's why he was knocking on the doors and windows, because Jason was legitimately concerned about, oh my God, why is she there? This is scary. This is a guy that's threatened a lot of harm and things like that to himself, and what if he hurts her? Well, then apparently a couple people from Dunn County or Eau Claire County spoke with Ezra and Alex, and they claimed, you know what, we're fine, it's okay, we're all right. So they were allowed
Yeah, I
to
think that was
just
Eau Claire, yeah.
kind of, but Jason, before he left, said, I really feel strongly that you guys should talk in a public place where you're more safe, rather than behind closed doors like this. So Ezra told me that's when we decided to go to Owen Park. And she says, and that's where the assault happened. That's where I was assaulted. I said, you were assaulted? I said, what happened in Owen Park? She goes, I don't really want to talk about it. I was just assaulted. And she started that, wiping the brow, and I'm just really tired. She's done that since she was little. That's like her tick. I know when she's not telling the truth. It's so apparent.
Did she disclose then what happened?
She did not. She just said she was assaulted. And I said, I'm really sorry that these things have happened to you. I don't really know what to say to try to help you. I said, we all love you and we're here for you and we all want to help you. And I'm trying to play it by the book, like reaffirm we're here, we love you, make her hear that. And at a couple points I even looked at Amanda, I'm like, honey, I'm not really good at this talk, please, you talk. No, I'm a dink. I mean, I'm really blunt and forward, and the whole time in my head I want to chew her ass for taking money from mom and dad to pay her fines and then not paying them, and then taking money from me and lying and saying that she had the, she didn't ever have the money when in fact mom and dad had given it to her. I was just like, Amanda, maybe you can just talk, like basic conversation. Because I was getting to that point where I was going to start being like, why'd you take that money or whatever, and I just needed to shut up.
Had you ever talked to Alex?
No, I don't even know who the guy is.
Yeah, we don't know.
Did she ever talk about
Do you
him at
know
all?
who he
Or?
is?
She just said that she has they have
Do
a
you-
friend
Rosie, you
Alex,
know
and
who
they like
Alex
to
is?
go over there
Yeah,
and
I've
visit.
met him before.
Oh, you met him. She met him.
Where did you meet him at?
I've met him at the coffee shop at Racy's.
Okay.
He came to my house one time to play some cards with us.
What can you tell us about him? What were your... Oh, yep.
Nothing unusual. He seemed like a very nice, smart guy. They seem to always get along, and I don't know, I really liked him. And I don't really have anything bad to say about him.
Okay.
Want some water?
I'm good.
Did you guys see her today?
I did.
Did you go today? Where is she today?
She doesn't know. She doesn't know what's going on. She said that she had to get saliva samples and blood samples, and she doesn't understand what the paper says. And she said they didn't tell me whether or not Alex was okay.
What is she concerned about Alex for, Rosie? Did she say?
The paper says first degree intentional homicide.
On who?
Her. She killed him, Mom.
What?
She killed him.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did. I would say it this way, it's an investigation.
Look, we're looking into it. We haven't drawn that conclusion yet. We're not saying that, but we're looking into that
That's what the
possibility.
paper says. So I was trying to explain to her that he must not be okay. And
So,
she doesn't understand.
When I
Where is
talked
he?
to her,
hold on a second. Go ahead, Joe.
when we were talking to her, and we
This
asked,
was yesterday, correct?
yes,
Okay.
and I was asking her, she kept talking about how her legs kept bleeding and she just wanted her regular clothes because the scrubs were uncomfortable and things. I said, you know what, your mom's going to bring some clothes down. I said, you're going to be comfortable in a little while. I'm sure your mom's going to bring you some comfies and you'll be good to go and stuff. And she's like, yeah, I just, all these cuts. And she goes, and you know, they've taken all these swabs and I have cuts all over myself. And she goes, and I have cuts a lot down here and stuff too. And it was, she goes, it's just so uncomfortable to have them take swabs and stuff in those areas and examine those areas. I'm just exhausted. She goes, it's just so bad. And I'm feeling so terrible for her, but at the same time I'm looking at all of these scratches all over and I'm like, I said, so what are all the scratches from? She said, he held me down and he cut me like this. He held me down and did these things to me. And I said, you're serious? You're saying someone held you down and did these things to you? She goes, yes. Yes, they did. I said, what do you mean they? She goes, I mean just Alex. And it's kind of like she bounces back and forth, like there's maybe something's just not firing. It's like an 8-cylinder running on 4. There's like a cerebral disconnect. There's not necessarily some reality there.
Right.
And I asked her, I said, honey, I said, you know, how did you end up in Menominee? She goes, you know, I really don't know. I said, was the man that protected you in Menominee or got you to the doctor or got you to help? I said, was he nice to you? Was he okay? She goes, yeah, he was a really nice man. He was older, like Grandpa and Grandma, but I can't remember his face. I don't know what his face looks like. I just remember he was old. So it seems like there's, you know, following pretty traumatic experiences, sometimes there's gray area and sometimes there's very vivid area. I'm just kicking myself in the nuts because I hid those keys. She should have never been able to leave my house. But I had to go to work, you guys. I can't.
But you know what? She
Kids
would have
know
found
what
a
stuff
way.
is, and anybody's.
She
Right,
tore that
Rosie?
house apart and found those keys.
Yeah.
I should have kept her home.
So, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Stay here.
Yeah.
I should have stayed home from work.
It's a case where we've dealt. You talk to kids, you can't be with them 24/7. You guys well know that. So we are in the midst of investigation. And
How did it happen? What happened to him? Can you give me that? Was he
We
cut?
can't,
Was he shot?
we can't probably
Yeah.
talk about that right now. I
we
know,
don't.
it's not that we don't want to.
And I'd sit down
I
when
get
this
it.
gets done. If the DA gives us permission, we'll sit down with you guys.
Okay, tell me,
Okay.
was she, you're just looking at her?
At this time, it's a
We're
strong
looking at,
possibility.
we're gathering
Right.
all the information we can right now
Right.
to get a better understanding of what might have took
Because
place.
she had a lot
The
of different
background.
friends in Eau Claire and stuff too.
We're talking to all kinds of people to try and get a better understanding of the situation.
But we do have, we were looking, and we do have a couple of search warrants just to look for some items and stuff. And
I understand that you probably would need to get a couple things from my home of hers. I have some belongings. She came with 2 or 3. She has a makeup bag and like 2 small like backpacks that she just shoved all her clothes in. But her laptop's there. But a few times over the last week while she was at her house, you guys, I woke up in the middle of the night to the phone ringing, and she'd be on the phone in the middle of the night, and I'd wake up to get ready for work at 5, and she'd still be on the phone at 5 a.m. So if there's some numbers in my phone that you'd like to,
With Jason, yeah.
if there's some numbers in my phone in the caller ID or whatever you guys want to get, we can get you them too. I mean, I just
want 5 minutes. So, a couple questions. Does she ever go to firearm safety or anything like that? Hunter safety?
no, she's been to the woods with me on several
She
occasions.
doesn't want to kill a
She
deer.
just doesn't want to kill animals. She's like, I just can't take a life. She would sit in the woods with me,
Okay.
but she never wanted to hunt.
Does she have any weapons at all?
No, I have weapons inside of my home,
Right.
but mine are accounted for, to be honest with you.
I have 2 daughters, and one hunts and one doesn't.
Yeah.
But I also have concerns like you do and anybody else with protection or anything. Have you ever discussed anything like that with her? Any kind of a weapon to protect yourself?
No, you know what? I actually talked to her about this the other day, and I don't know if you remember it, but I said, sweetie, I said, you know, you say that these guys have hurt you before? I said, honey, you remember a story when you were little in the lunchroom and you told me that this kid would come up and knee you in the thigh all the time and give you a Charlie horse and steal your spot in the lunch line, and you told the school about it a couple different times. I said, and they didn't do anything about it. I said, what did I tell you to do at one point? I said, I'm finally done talking about it. I told you the first thing you do is you knee them in the nuts, and then when they duck down, you grab them by the face and you knee them right square in the face. I said, you know what? That'll be the last time that that son of a bitch ever hits you, because you're a girl and a boy should never hit you. You kick his ass. And that's what I told her. And I said, when your principal calls me, I'll go sit detention for you, because his staff didn't do anything about it when a boy was hitting you. But she was young then. But I told her that the other night, and I told her, when a man lays his hands on you, I said, you have got to learn to stick up for, you've got to protect yourself. You've got to be able to fight them off.
Okay, my granddaughter wouldn't, the Ezra I know, she'd have frogs jump on her nose and hold butterflies. And she saved baby birds and took them to school in her pocket and had the kids at recess look for worms. That's my granddaughter.
Any mace or anything like that that you'd carry for personal protection?
I gave her it's called a claw, and you hold it in the palm of your hand, and if you close, it retracts. So if someone is trying to hurt you, you can at least get some DNA with that.
Oh, so
It's called the claw. But
What's that right there?
it's just it's the size of your palm,
Okay.
and it retracts like cat's claws.
Oh,
So it has
okay, I see.
indentations, so if she were to, scratch someone, their DNA is inside of it. I gave her that when she went to college, because I was afraid.
As far as pepper spray, I've never purchased any for her, and the stuff that I carry from the prison to home is checked in and turned in every day. It's accounted for. We don't leave with it. We pick it up in the morning when we assume our post. Not to say that she's never been able to buy anything like that, Chris.
I'm hearing you.
You know, she maybe bought something like that, but I think, can you buy pepper spray legally at 20? Well,
You can get a taser gun off Amazon if you want.
Any pocket knives, any kind of knives or anything that you know of?
I just have a couple knives in my home. They're just like work knives, just flip open ones for when I'm doing my tree service if I gotta cut a rope. As far as any that she would have, no.
I mean, he probably has one on his pocket.
Very similar probably to something like
No,
that.
I mean, guys usually
What-
carry them, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's what I would have.
Okay, but did she ever, because you talked about, she, didn't want anybody to harm her back when she was young.
Nothing like that,
Did
Chris.
she harm herself or anything?
No.
Okay.
If anything, she's always said, no, I don't need anything like that. She's always very trusting of everyone around her, and that has been one of her vices, is that she never really sees the bad in people, and she only sees the good. And she sometimes surrounds herself with less than decent people because she doesn't see the bad, and she's so trusting.
The fact that the circumstances around her, how she ended up at Eau Claire, I don't know the totality of it, but I know when I'm on a major scene, sometimes I forget something and I look at a video or listen to a recording, I'm like, oh yeah, I said that, When you were talking to her at the hospital, Joe, you had a pretty detailed conversation with her about those wounds and stuff. You want to think hard about that, about whether or not she disclosed what happened to this person that was doing this to her?
No, I swear on my kids.
Okay.
When I actually, I said, matter of fact, I said, those scratches on your lip right here, you got 3 very definitive lines right here, but they're very superficial. I go, it looks like a cat clawed you. She goes, well, that's strange because I haven't been around a cat. And that's exactly what she told us because her cat's at our house.
Right.
She goes, well, that's strange.
Okay.
But I did speak to, I don't know if you guys know the name of the social worker working with her at the hospital there.
I don't.
She did contact me last evening, and I spoke to her on the phone, and she had mentioned like at the end of the 72-hour hold there may be a hearing of some sort that would have to take place about
Within,
keeping her.
72 hours.
And she asked me several details, and I said to her, I said, have you talked to her about her cuts or her wounds or anything like that? And she goes, yeah, a bit. And she really wasn't, she was kind of baiting. She wanted me to talk more. And I said, her boyfriend Jason told me that he's seen her cut herself on several occasions. And I said, from every bit of training that I've ever had and all my experiences, I said, every one of her wounds are very superficial and seem as if they're more self-inflicted than anything. I said, if them were defense wounds, she would be gaping and she would need sutures and she'd be just ripped to hell. She goes, very coincidental that you asked me that, Joe, because she said, myself and a doctor and myself and a nurse actually called her out on that today, and that would have been yesterday. So the social worker and one of the medical staff actually called her out on that and asked her about, they seemed pretty superficial.
Right. When I tried to call you and Amanda, and then you must have called the sheriff
Yeah, you were gonna
I
get
actually
Chris's
drove by
number.
your place, to be honest with you.
in town, in Boyd.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
So the sheriff, then you did talk to the sheriff?
I stopped over by Jim and I said, Jim, I understand you guys were looking to try to talk to me. I said, Jim, you know what? I said, I respect you. I respect your brother. Mom mentioned Chris wanted to maybe get into the house and get some things. I said, if you want to text Chris right now or call him, you feel free to call him. Tell him he's welcome in my home. He can take anything he wants. He can look around. You can spend as much time in there as he wants. I said, so can you, Jim. I said, just tell me what you need. I said, I'm willing to work with you in any way that you guys need because we got to get to the bottom of it.
So when Dad came in, he was trying to tell you that it's more than that? How did you know?
I spoke with Ezra's mother. She called me and told me about the paperwork that she had seen at the hospital today.
Very good. I just want to clarify because that makes total sense to me because the sheriff texted me and said, Joe already knows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how would Joe know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you tell Joe? And he goes, absolutely not. And I've been texting him like, you better not have because he's not disclosing.
No.
And that makes total sense of how you knew. So thank you for that.
Yeah, Ezra's mom and I have always had a pretty...
That's fine. That's all I
Open.
need to know is to confirm she told you and not
Yeah,
Ezra yesterday.
Jim
that
goes,
disclosed.
you know, I really don't know a whole lot of what's going on. My brother's really dealing with it, and
Very good.
Jim
That's all.
didn't know anything
And
really.
when you were here, when I took Landon for ice cream, I had no idea why you were here
No,
about that. And so I said to Landon, Landon, if they want to talk to you, I want you to call your mom and ask your mom, because I do not want you guys to talk to Landon without mom or dad, you know?
You all right?
And Rosie told Landon, whatever they ask, go ahead.
Right.
So
I just wanted to verify that final comment because
It's
when the
understandable.
sheriff texted me and you had said I already knew, we never told you, the sheriff didn't told you, and when you were talking to Ezra, I thought maybe she disclosed it to you. And I didn't think you did, and that's why I was confused. I'm like, Joe wouldn't hold back at this point, but then I don't know how he knows because no one told him. But then obviously you, and I was like, if Joe was told yesterday, why didn't he say anything to anybody? And I know
I'd
I
have
know you
called
better
you
than
right
Joe.
Joe
away.
shares
And
everything with
it
me, and
just-
he never said anything.
That's why we listen and figure this
Yeah.
out. So,
Good catch on your part.
Well,
Well-
I think we'll,
We
yeah,
love
What
this
can we
book.
expect moving forward, gentlemen?
well, we got people to talk to yet.
We have a lot of interviews to do yet.
And it sounds to me, from what we gathered, that there's a group of individuals at Racy's that she hung with, or at the house, and we don't have all those individuals talked to yet, so.
She spent several hours the day before with her friend Julia Post.
Julia Post.
Julia Post lives just and she lives with her dad, David Post. She spent a lot of time with Julia out there the other day, and it's not like I would like Julia drug into something like this, but her and Monica, well, Ezra, it was Monica when she was little, her and Ezra do share a lot of things and talk about a lot of stuff, and
And I give them sailor
I
liquid.
just wonder
She
if
was on here.
she had maybe talked.
What was her name again?
Julia Post,
Julia Post.
great kid.
And what was dad's name?
David is her dad.
And I give them Sailor's number because Ezra was on my tablet and she forgot to go off.
Mhm.
And there was a message on there about, Sailor, I'm homeless. And Sailor says, well, what about staying with Grandma? And Ezra said, well, Grandma just I can't stay with Grandma right now because Grandpa's not feeling good. And then there was some other, but I didn't know it was in, I just completely,
Mm-hmm.
so if you guys need this,
Was that via text message or an app or what?
What was
Instagram.
she?
Instagram? Is that how she usually communicated?
I think she
She has
deleted her
an iPad
Facebook account and
only.
everything like that because she said
Yeah. That's it.
after the
have
last
phone.
supposed assault that she claimed happened in Eau Claire, she said several of that group of friends of the individual that was the attacker apparently were messaging her on Facebook and things and saying very lewd things about her and harassing her on there.
did she make a complaint with Eau Claire PD?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're actually, her paperwork is probably in those bags, Chris, at my home. She's been working with a detective from Eau Claire.
Orion's.
Yeah.
And there's actually court proceeding paperwork and stuff in there, I believe, as well.
No. But her communication was the iPad or pod,
Yeah,
nothing
that's the
else.
only thing she had.
And she has her laptop at my house, and she was, she asked what the Wi-Fi password was the other night, so I don't know if she would have utilized the laptop, but you'd be able to extract whatever you needed to from that.
Okay. Is that laptop password protected? Or,
I don't know.
I don't know, I've never personally been on it, I think
and so whose laptop is it?
It's hers.
it's hers.
Oh, she has it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got it for her for college.
Mine's on the table in the house, but she wouldn't know the password to get on mine, because it's like my business one.
Well, I think we should probably,
And not only that, I think it was very important I think it was a good decision to stop here because you guys painted a good picture of the background that you guys needed for sure.
Yep.
And, thanks a lot for everything and being patient and cooperative. I know Terry's investigative stills was going on, started in that chair, and I think he kind of knew maybe something was going on, but, on behalf of Chippewa County, I'm just sorry that we have to be in this, but,
Do you know what
working
kind of
with
picture
Terry-
we painted? 'Cause it's not a bad person.
a little more than what we
not.
walked in the door earlier. I mean, we,
no, and how,
She's not a bad kid, I think there's just
She
something.
doesn't even know. She told me today she doesn't even know if he's okay. So she doesn't know what's going on right now.
I wouldn't say paint a picture, but gave us a little better
It's
background.
just that we've never met her before, we don't know her, so we want to get to know her through
right.
you guys.
I'm telling
What
you,
I'll do to her, we'll leave our cards here with our office numbers on too, so.
She was lovely.
Whatever she did, it wasn't intentional, and I know that for sure. I know that for sure.
She would never hurt a bird even.
Well, we'll take one step at a time here, and we appreciate you guys taking time. I know it's a difficult time, and we don't have it, we're in the middle of this, that's all I can tell you, we don't.
I know you had asked about what can you expect moving forward. I don't know how to really answer that, because we don't know where our investigation is going to take us, how long things are going to take. But
So, you two gentlemen will be taking care of the investigation moving
Well,
forward? We
yeah,
probably
we
really won't
actually
have
have
much.
there's several people involved.
Because we have Eau Claire, Dunn, Chippewa, so we kind of a multi-people, I would say. But we're part
So
of.
who do we contact if we need to contact?
You really don't.
We'll leave
So,
our cards. And
And I'm going to leave you with our supervisor's phone number.
yeah, we can,
If you guys have questions or
Yeah.
want to know more information, there's no promises that we can give
Right.
certain information, but that's a person you can contact to ask those questions.
Carrie, you want me to
Done.
leave two cards for you guys
You
to?
don't want to try.
Dunn County is the
Yeah, you can
primary.
just leave them on the counter there.
Yeah, I wanna go home.
Okay.
My-
Go
my
see Landon
office
before you
is
go.
on the top, okay.
Does she know that you're going there?
I don't know.
You going to
is it
her
Rosie?
house?
We gotta go to hers.
You have to go down to Rosie and Jim's house too?
Well,
I
he's
would tell her for sure, yeah.
You better tell her that
Right, I will,
he's a good man.
so. Maybe,
You guys,
where
honest
is,
to
how
God.
far is she from here?
She's about
7
6
miles.
or 7 miles south of town on H.
And you're right in.
And I'm right here. If you guys wanna run
Her-
there right now,
The way that they explained it, her living quarters are out into a detached garage
Garage,
area. So shouldn't be much there.
Do you know what Todd's office extension is? I don't have it on my phone, but
It's, it used to be Marshall. Used
What
to
did
have
you
it.
say your name was?
It's Rod Dykes.
And what's yours again?
I'm Jason Stocker. And then, yeah, we'll leave our business cards here for you guys.
I thought he was
she's
standing.
never even been a kid to raise her voice.
Mhm.
She's never raised her voice to anybody. She's never yelled. She's never
She's
been in a
never,
fight.
ever.
the dark hair.
She always says, I'd rather just walk away and let people say what they want to say. I'm better than that. She's just always been a
Yeah.
good kid.
Drug test there?
Uh,
I mean, did they find anything at all? I know I asked you that.
we don't have any,
Toxicology.
Not that we're
Yeah,
aware of,
so
and
we're aware of,
that's the
yeah.
honest truth there. I don't.
Okay.
She's so
So-
broken.
Something caused her to flip. You know, and
yeah, that probably,
I don't know how to talk to
figure
her
that out
boy.
later. I mean, I know
What do we tell him?
My boy. His mom, Rosie's talking to him right now.
Or what they should do to her.
determine later probably.
I've always been the one to try to tell everybody else the advice on how to talk to their kids during a situation like this, but right now it's myself.
Hey Todd,
that's
what's
really,
your office extension?
really kicking me in the nuts right now, you guys? I should have given him
Well, we're just
fucking keys.
one of the
She
point
had a
of
spare
contact with
set in her
manager
car,
Yeah,
Jason.
let me ask you this, what,
that they can
um,
call.
oh, Rosie,
Well, see, they have
we
to.
have to stop out at your
Okay,
house.
I'll give that though.
Jason said yesterday at
You
the
have
house
your
that
home now?
he should have taken it.
No, probably not, but just, in the following days, if they have any questions or
If you
what
want,
have you, I just wanted to give
I'll
them
have
a
a
point of
squad
contact.
call
so.
her down there if you want.
Yeah, and then we'll,
And then-
we'll stop first here. So.
Okay. So do you wanna go down to Joe's?
Okay, what was your
There's
office
2 squads
extension
there
again? I'll write that down there
Down
too.
the street.
Oh, I
And
want
just
that on the
wave
keys.
them down and I'll.
Okay, sounds
good.
And then just
You
have
said
one.
Thanks, bye.
with you,
Your
okay?
keys, what her keys, what did that look like?
The other night, they were on a lanyard,
Okay,
and I made her give me them the other night. And I took them from her and I told her, you cannot drive. Your vehicle has a suspended registration. I said, and you don't
She
have
can
any
go in
insurance.
the house, garage and everything, right?
what's that?
She can go in her house, right?
Yeah, I don't know, a problem with that.
Hey, Rosie,
So,
she's gonna
I don't
come
know who to
down
leave
by
this with,
you.
but this is
And
your
just
guys'
have one
point
of
of
the
contact
squads
starting
go
Kurt's
down
house.
with her to the house.
So, I have his cell phone on there and his
She can go in the
phone,
house, but just.
so he said, feel free to call either one, at
That's
any
my
time,
point
so.
of contact for
Yeah,
us.
or you can
You
call
can
us.
call-
Now Jason's in school.
I'll be out of the
this week.
office for a week,
I'll
but
be in and out.
Lucky
so-
bastard.
so.
I'll be I'm in school, so.
Well, we're gonna run over there, you know,